It's time now for some business news, and for that I'm joined in the studio by Stephen Carroll. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Haxie.
We're starting in Australia and a major internet outage being reported by big companies there.
That's right, the problems are affecting at least the four of the country's major banks, including Commonwealth Bank, Westpac and ANZ. Their website and apps are being affected by this. The airline Virgin Australia also tweeting that they've experienced an outage on their website. Now, the banks say they don't currently know what the source of the outage is. ANZ is advising customers to avoid logging on for an hour. The website Down Detector showing a spike in reports of problems across websites of financial institutions. This, of course, coming after a brief outage of American airline websites earlier today. Seems to be resolved pretty quickly, and also major problems reported earlier this month that were linked to issues at a content delivery service provider in the United States that affected websites like Amazon and even the British government website as well. Some of these Australian websites are still accessible, but the banks are saying that some of their services are still being affected.
Well, next, an update on the state of the world's largest economy.
The Federal Reserve is predicting faster growth and higher inflation this year in the United States. America's central bank expect to start raising interest rates in 2023 after having cut them to near zero at the start of the pandemic. Now, that's earlier than they had previously forecast for interest rate rises. The Fed is expecting growth of 7% this year and unemployment to fall to 4.5%, while inflation is set to rise to 3%. The chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, was optimistic about the recovery in the US economy, but noted that not everyone has experienced the bounce back.
We're going to be in a very strong labor market pretty quickly here. There's still a big group of unemployed people, and we're not going to forget about them. We're going to do everything we can to get people back into work and give them the chance to work. But there's every reason to think that we'll be in a labor market with very attractive numbers, with low unemployment, high participation, and rising wages across the spectrum.
Well, back here in France, President Emmanuel Macron has been talking technology.
Yeah, the French president telling an audience at the Viva Tech event that it was legitimate to ask if big American tech companies should be broken up. This as firms like Google and Facebook have faced increasing regulatory pressure in Europe. Macron is pushing for Europe to create 10 technology giants worth 100 billion euros each by 2030 to rival US dominance in this sector. With more on the Viva Tech event, here's Marius Safos.
It was a return to the fold for the tech world in Paris on Wednesday as the annual Viva Technology show got underway after being cancelled last year due to COVID-19. Apple CEO Tim Cook appeared via video link, affirming the tech giant's commitment to privacy.
You can think of a world where privacy is not important and the surveillance economy takes over, and it becomes a world where everyone's worried that somebody else is watching them. And so they begin to do less, they begin to think less. And nobody wants to live in a world where that freedom of expression narrows.
Also in the blockbuster lineup of speakers, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and Microsoft's Brad Smith. This year's four-day event is taking place both in person and online. Masks are compulsory indoors, the capacity is 5,000 a day, and visitors have to present a negative COVID-19 test or proof of full vaccination. Though the physical event is scaled back this year, the fair is still presenting more than 500 technological innovations, addressing a broad range of issues, including the economy and the environment. Robots are proving to be very popular, such as Buddy the emotional support robot, or Spot the robot dog, which can be used to reach hard-to-access spaces, for example, in nuclear power plants. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke virtually at the fair, calling on the world to invest in Indian technology, while French President Emmanuel Macron attended the event in person, pushing for the EU's tech sector to rival Silicon Valley.
The airline Ryanair is to sue the British government over its COVID-19 travel restrictions. The low-cost carrier is taking legal action along with the Manchester Airports Group over the traffic light system that London has put in place for international travel from the UK. Court papers will argue that the government should clearly explain how it makes decisions on categorising countries. In a statement, the companies say the current system makes it impossible for travel firms to plan for a recovery.
Well, staying with travel, airline industry workers in Ireland have been protesting over the travel rules over there.
Hundreds of cabin crew and pilots held a protest outside the Irish Department of Health, warning of job losses due to the current government travel restrictions. That's after the regional Irish airline Stobart Air collapsed earlier this month. Dublin is advising against non-essential journeys abroad until July 19th, much later than most EU countries.
That Irish Airlines make the majority of their revenue in the summer. This summer is going to be a write-off due to the fact that the Irish government have deliberately delayed the implementation of the digital COVID certificate, and they have failed to adopt rapid antigen testing. So that means that the airlines in Ireland, like Aer Lingus and Ryanair, are not going to ramp up their operations, which means there will be thousands of job losses this winter.
Quick look at what's happening in the markets next for you. A mixed picture in trading today in Asia. Investors reacting to those comments from the Federal Reserve about raising interest rates sooner than previously expected in the US. The Nikkei in Tokyo down 0.8%, just small gains in Shanghai and in Hong Kong.
Well, finally, from you, the publishing house Condé Nast has signed its first labour agreement with a union representing workers.
The company's agreed a deal with unionised employees at New Yorker magazine, the music magazine Pitchfork, and also the tech publication Ars Technica. That's after 2.5 years of talks and a threat of strike action. The deal includes raising the minimum salary to $60,000 and establishing a 40-hour working week. The talks had turned tense in recent weeks, with dozens of Condé Nast employees picketing the home of the company's chief content officer, Anna Wintour. It is the first such labour agreement in Condé Nast's history.
Stephen Carroll with a look through the day's top business stories. Thank you very much.